Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum audience. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. First of all, I want to thank a lot of my viewers who have really rendered good comments to encourage me. And not only this, they have really asked me to make videos on what they want. Definitely, I have started working on their requirements and soon they will have their videos. So let's begin today's video. Today's video is based on letter writing for O levels, which is a part of paper one. Today, I will discuss the mark scheme a bit so that you can know that at this point of the year, when you are to appear in the paper, what is required from you, because this is a time that when you are quite aware of the format and the things. I'll be just looking at those key things which will now help you to get at least A star or A in your paper. Now, as we all know that letter writing is a part of paper one, section one, which is called directed writing. And directed writing is having 30 marks. And these 30 marks are divided into 15 marks for your language and 15 marks for your task fulfillment. Now, this is a single question where there is no choice and you can be asked to write a letter, and that letter can be formal or informal. Examiner can ask you to write a report on any situation, or speech can also be given. In directed writing, an article can be asked or an account can be demanded from you. Whatever is the question, there is no choice, and you have to prepare for this part of the paper completely and fully, and you should know all the formats exactly so that you can score better. Well, today's video is going to aim at writing letter, and it's going to be an informal letter. When we talk about letter writing paper for the Cambridge, so this is how the paper is given. This is a paper of 2011, which I am going to discuss with you. This is an informal paper. Remember that whenever you are writing a directed part of the paper, then always underline the things so that you are not skipping any mistake. This you will see in the mark scheme also mentioned that you have completely come up to the task. So 200 to 300 is the word limit, and for 30 marks you are writing it. Reading task is really very important, and most of the students ignore this part of the paper. Contrary, this is really very important, and you have to actually reflect this task in your writing. Your aunt has written to you asking you how you are getting on at school. You reply, telling her about a recent incident which has really upset you very much. So this is going to be a reply letter. This you have known. The rubrics are what happened, something has happened, you are going to tell it to your aunt now. Why you were so upset? Definitely it was linked to you and that made you upset. How the situation was resolved. So you have to tell that how situation was resolved. Cover all 3 points above in detail. You should make sure your aunt will understand your feeling. Okay, and sympathize with you also. Start your letter with dear aunt and provide a suitable ending. Now, you have seen that I have read a question with you and I've also marked all the keywords. Why I have done it? I've done it so that I don't skip anything, and so that I revise these things in my mind so that I can plan a bit that how am I going to write a letter. First of all, the background must be kept in mind that this is actually a reply letter to your aunt. You must actually keep yourself in the situation so that you can come up with a very true response, and your directed part looks really real. Now, another important thing is that for each rubric, we call these bullet points rubrics. For each rubric, you are writing 3 paragraphs. Okay, and definitely you cannot directly start with telling that what happened. You have to begin a letter in a very sensible way, that as it is an informal letter. Dear aunt, how are you? I hope you will be fine, but on my side things did not go fine. And then you can start telling about it. So in this way, leaving these 3 paragraphs, there can be 5 up till 5 paragraph, including a beginning paragraph and an ending paragraph. So let's see that how these task fulfillment marks can be achieved, which are 15. As you all are familiar that Cambridge always issues a mark scheme, and it's a detailed mark scheme for paper one, which you might not have seen, you might not have bothered to look at. But discussing it at this part of the paper is really very important, so that you know that how important is having a good planning and knowing all these things. But don't worry, I'll not read this whole script. I will just read few points with you. There are 5 bands, and the highest is fifth band, and fifth band is the one where the candidate will get 13 to 15 marks. This is the point where a very good understanding of the purpose is shown. The things which I have underlined with you, that all are expressed in your writing, your text is entirely appropriate, your language, your tone, your handling of the matter is quite appropriate. All required point, look, this is in bold, are in detail and fully amplified. Sometimes it happens that students, they don't pay attention to the bullet points given, and they just in quickly wrap them up. This should not happen. In fact, good information must be provided for each rubric. Given information were well used, whatever information was given, you have reflected it in your letter, your tone and register. Your language is quite good. You know that to whom you are writing. So rest of the bands can be read by you. And the purpose of reading this before going on to the actual planning of the letter is to tell you that until you have an idea that how a sensible letter has to be done, your all presentation of the ideas will be judged keeping the important key points in mind. Then only you will definitely come up as a sensible writer. On the other hand, the remaining 15 marks are for language, and here the bands are 8. Okay, so I will not read all. I will simply read the one which is showing the highest band. It is highly accurate writing, apart from very occasional slips. So I'm sure that when we say highly accurate writing, so it covers everything. You know that your sentences should be varied, simple, compound, complex. You have appropriate tenses. Your tenses are correct. You have ample vocabulary. You're not repeating on your words. Your punctuations are good. Your spellings are correct. Your paragraphing has unity and linking. So all these things, I think if you just look at each bullet point one by one, and you just in contrast look at your own some work, then you will simply come up with an idea that how do you have to improve yourself. Okay, if you feel that your tenses are not correct, then you can focus on it and you can start writing in a better way. If you think that perhaps you are not using good punctuation, then you can start working on it. Your paragraphing has to be really linked with each other. Now these are the some middle band. Here I would like to read something for your interest. Some simple sentence structure accurate. That this is a band where out of 15, the candidate will get 6 to 7 marks. Okay, quite almost half of 15. So you're using in simple sentences. This is actually the place where most of our students are falling. We write in short, simple sentences. Okay, but even this is the point where accuracy is there. But what happens with us that we lose accuracy in our sentences. We are unable to create a link in sentence to sentencing. That has to be actually maintained. Errors in verb form and tense will sometimes confuse the sequence. This is really very important. This is something common with the students, that they don't know how to switch from present to past or from present to future. This is really very important. Okay, so this must be kept in mind. Your vocabulary is limited, either too simple or imperfectly understood. Some idiomatic errors are there. Well, this is really very important. I've just discussed in many of my videos that for a Cambridge student, you have to show that you have enough vocabulary, diverse vocabulary, and for each situation you have a good use of the words, and you come up as a very sensible writer, and you have good command or language. This you have to show. Simple punctuation, usually accurate. So you don't know to write complex punctuation and you are writing in simple punctuation. Your spellings of simple vocabulary are accurate. You writing simple words, so they are correct. Frequent errors in most difficult words. Where you try to write difficult words, you make errors. Paragraphs used haphazardly. It means that you have just simply put paragraphs, you did not create any link in it. Now, why did I read this band with you? I read this band that most of our students are actually falling here, here in band number 4. Now, what is supposed to be done at this time? At this time, we really look into this, that we have to cover all these things. We have to quickly take those steps which will help us to improve our language. Now, I'll be discussing some tips with you for writing good letter. One thing is that don't abruptly start writing a letter. Give some minutes to plan it. Think that for this letter, what are you going to write in this letter? What incident are you going to write? That incident has to be sensible, okay? And that sensibility should retain throughout the letter. Things should not go something not according to the senses. Like in this situation, you can think that you have seen somebody stealing in the school, that was your best friend, and you are in a fix that what to do, or somebody put blame on you. I mean, some such sensible situation which actually appeals this whole directed writing question can be given here. So please don't start without planning. Then you're going to organize it into 3 to 5 paragraphs. So beginning paragraph must be properly done, and then ending, that should be again properly done. Once you have discussed all 3 rubrics, that the first rubric you are going to discuss, that what happened, you will simply tell that I have been really very upset, but thanks God that problem is resolved, but I cannot be at rest until I share it with you. And then you talk about what happened to your aunt, okay? And see to it that you must show that you were really upset. You should use such words which show that you have been really very upset in this regard. Look at this letter. You can see that how nicely this is being paragraphed. Okay, you can see this is how our letter has to be good. Okay, you are going to use variety of sentences, simple, compound, and complex sentences should be there. If you don't know, you can watch my videos. I've made videos on compound and complex sentences as well. Now, this is something very important. You're writing it to your aunt, so your language has to be really informal and frank. For this, what will you do? You can use a lot of speech marks like ellipsis when we use when we are saying something, but we leave something in between. These exclamatory marks are really very important because you're discussing something to one of your close aunt. That cannot be done without very good use of a speech mark. Question marks can be there, and other required speech marks will definitely show that this is a real letter, and you have really worked very hard on bringing the real tone in your letter. You are going to start your sentences with good linking devices. Now, what happens that we simply like begin saying anything, and that doesn't create the link between paragraph to paragraph. Remember that when we switch from paragraph to paragraph, a link has to be created, okay? So that on the whole, the whole letter seems one unit. This does not happen in our writing. Each paragraph seems something different. This should not happen. So until and unless you know to put stylish linking devices, you cannot come up as a good writer. Then you must look for your language standard, your punctuation, your preposition, then use of your few good figurative language. That is really very compulsory. So I'm sure that you have known how to write a good letter, and you will keep all these things in your mind for writing a good letter. And I suggest you that read some sample letters so that you know exactly how a good letter has to be done. I assure you, if you read at least 5 to 10 letters on different topics, you will inhale many ideas in you regarding the task fulfillment and regarding the language use. With this, I take a leave. Thank you very much for watching this video, and share it with others as well. Allah Hafiz.